All right, we'll start with Coach with the opening statement, and then we'll open up for question and answer period.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's always a pleasure to be here and to talk about last week's game. Obviously, a very emotional week for everyone, not just this football team, but everyone here at Florida A&M in the Tallahassee area, everyone west of Tallahassee. Probably the most trying week of many of our lives as far as dealing with weather. So for us to endure all of that, to have to put a plan together to ensure the safety of our student athletes and also get ready to take on the defending conference champions was definitely a tall task. But again, as always, I tip my hat to our administration led by our president, Dr. Larry Robinson, our athletic director, Dr. John Eason, and everyone who was involved in putting together the plan to get us through the storm as a football team together, and then have a plan to get us to North Carolina safely and prepare to win the football game. And again, I can't say enough about these guys. They weathered the storm literally and figuratively to go up there and after being down at halftime, not playing our best football for a half, to really come out the second half and play just lights out. 20 first downs in the second half, 8 of 11 on third down conversions. I think 3 out of 4 drives ended in scores, and just the gutsiness, the fight of this guy to my left. Again, I can't say enough about it, to overcome injury after injury, hit after hit, and to even be at a point where we had to make a decision of whether to keep him in the game or not, and to lead us on a 70-yard scoring drive, the last drive of the game, is something that I think will resonate around here for a very long time. And but just honored to be in this position to be able to come out with a huge win for this program, 4-0 for the first time in a long time in league play, sit at the top of the conference standings, and continue to control our destiny. And that's something as a football team that we've talked about, is working hard enough to control our own destiny to where we don't have to worry about what other people do. As long as we continue to play well, play fundamental football, we give ourselves the best chance to hoist the trophy as MEAC champs at the end of the season.
Coach, a lot of teams welcome bye weeks, chance to heal some injuries. Momentum, though, it's definitely on your side. I mean, do you almost want to play on Saturday, or I mean, what are you going to do with this bye week?
Well, I'm sure if you ask Ryan, he definitely would like a week off. and, but again, I think it's coming at a perfect time for so many reasons. One, it allows us as a university, as a football team, to be able to help. We've already started. We've begun to go out into the various communities west of here to try to offer assistance to families that have been impacted by Hurricane Michael. And so a bye week, I think, is the perfect time to do that, because you're not trying to balance practice time, getting ready for a game. So it gives us that opportunity. It also allows guys like Ryan, Chad Hunter, Tonio Miller, Bishop Bonnet to heal. We played a physical 7-week schedule. Obviously, guys are beat up, sore, and it gives us a week to really get those guys back healthy for this home stretch. And then I think the last thing it does is allows us to kind of get caught up academically. And I think they understand what's important and what we need to do as a football team to be prepared. They come to practice every day with a great attitude. They'll continue to do that. There's some of the other things that we'll focus on more this week to make sure that we're a well-rounded football team, not just winning championships and games on the field, but doing the little things right off the field that I think makes us a complete program.
Do you bottle up that momentum, though, and save it for next week, or what do you do with that? I mean, is it done? Is it over? I mean,
well, I think for us, we have a saying that we get what we deserve, and for these guys, I think they want to work to deserve the win on Saturday. So the momentum, we build the momentum, we create the momentum, and we tell our team all the time, we create the environment. When 20,000+ show up next week to watch us play, it's because we've created that environment. And so because we're the ones that put it on, it's our job to prepare to show up when that happens. And so I don't think it's a situation of us saying necessarily riding momentum. I think it's these guys understanding that every week you have to come to practice. Every week you got to come to play. And they're really buying into that, and I think that's why they're showing up on Saturdays.
Coach, is it safe to call what happened on Saturday a program-defining win?
I think there have been a lot of program-defining moments this season. Early in the season versus Jackson State, I think that loss, as crazy as it sounds, was probably the best thing for this football team. At that time, they had a decision to make. They could have divided. They could have pulled apart. They could have said, here we go again. And they did. You know, they came back that next day and probably had the most spirited practice that we had in a long time. And right then, I was confirmed. I knew we had something special, but it was confirmed to me on that day that this is a special football team. And then again, going into Savannah, being down at halftime, going up to North Carolina Central on the first long road trip. We've had many moments this season where these guys have really had their characters challenged, and they continue to just show up. And so I think when this season story is written, it's going to be interesting to find what's going to be that focal point that they talk about, because there's so many that they can choose from throughout the season. But I think given everything that happened with Hurricane Michael, that's going to be the one that maybe resonates the most in people's mind. And then who we beat. You know, you go and beat the reigning champ after having to overcome the most devastating natural disaster that we've ever had here in North Florida. I think that's what makes it more special.
I know nothing surprises you, but you're still undefeated in MEAC. You just knocked off the top dogs in the conference. I mean, they've been top dogs for years. When you sit and you look at the conference standings and see your record right now, could you have imagined that you'd have this record this quickly here?
Well, again, when we got here, you can ask Ryan. I mean, our expectation was to win now. We didn't settle for anything less. I asked him, is there any reason why we can't? We have talented guys. We have the richest tradition in this conference. We have the best fan base here. We have a 25,000 seat stadium. And got a lot of returning starters coming back, our quarterback, multiple guys. So why can't we win now? And that was our approach from the very beginning. But it wasn't necessarily about telling them that. It's let's learn how we win. Let's do the things that it takes to win. And they've been doing that. And so I'm not surprised by our success right now because I see every day the sacrifices that these guys make. And when I look at us being 4-0, I say it's not 7-0. And that's my approach. When it's 7-0, then I feel really good about it. And that means we're done with the season. But we still have 3 more conference games left. We still have 4 more games left in this regular season. And there's a lot of football left to be played. So no pats on the back for this football team. We're going to use this bye week to the best of our advantage. But we know, as always, we have to go to work. Because, again, our work here as a football program is not finished.
Coach, you mentioned after the game Saturday that Azende Ray and one other player were probably the most affected by the hurricane on the team. Can you give us a quick update on them and their families?
Thankfully, Azende had minimal damage with his family. But Zach Sappho, whose grandmother lives in Panama City, pretty much lost her house. And so, again, we're trying to do everything we can to not only help his family, but all of the families in Panama City, Liberty County, Jackson County, as many places as we can. But Zach probably had a little bit more adversity to deal with than Azende. But again, it's something that's indescribable. You can't describe. I mean, going over there the last few days with Vaughn and with the players, you can't describe what you see. It's truly unbelievable, and it really puts things in perspective for us, and it makes us really want to go out and go every day. I wish we can go every day, but obviously these guys have class and things they have to attend to. But they definitely keep Zach Sappho and his family in your prayers. His mom and dad travel every game. When we come out of the tunnel, the first person I see is Zach's mom and dad. And for them to make the trip to North Carolina knowing that their mother had just lost everything really shows a love that they have for this university. And again, so definitely keep them in your prayers as they move forward to try to recover from this natural disaster.
And
Coach-
you,
no,
go
you're
ahead.
good.
Oh, well, you also mentioned during the bye week that guys will have time to heal. Do you feel like the whole roster will be 100% by the time you play Morgan State, or how healthy will you be by the time Morgan State comes around, Ryan?
We feel like most of the guys who are battling what we call nicks and bruises will be pretty close to ready to go. At this point in the season, you're never 100% healthy. Guys will never go into the game feeling 100% fresh. It's football. So your shoulder's going to be sore, your knees, your muscles. I mean, everything's going to be hurting on you around this time of season. So there are some guys that we've unfortunately lost for the year that will have to have season-ending surgeries. But all of the ones who have kind of gone through the season and played and been nicked up, we feel like we'll have most of those guys, if not all of those guys, back on the 27th versus Morgan.
I was going to ask about the hurricane and Zach specifically, but I mean, you see pictures of this stuff all the time, but when it directly affects, somebody on your team, how different does that make it? And I don't know, does it almost impact you a little bit more when you see somebody on your team going through that?
Well, obviously, it impacts us because these are all our kids, you know. And as a football coach, I have a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old at home, a 12-year-old that goes to school here at DRS, and a 19-year-old here in college. But I have 105 other kids. And whenever something affects one of them, it affects all of us as coaches. And so to know that Zach's suffering and going through that definitely makes our hearts cry. But again, it's affecting all of us. I mean, I'm from Gadsden County, and that's where we spent the bulk of our time the last few days. You know, 75% of that county is still without power. You know, we passed out hot meals. That was the first hot meal that a lot of those families had since last Wednesday. And so, you know, again, our hearts definitely go out to Zach and his family, but there's so many other families as well, ours included, that are still battling and trying to recover from, again, this catastrophe that we faced last week.
What was the first thing that went through your mind when you were back in your neck of the woods, Gadsden County, when you actually saw it firsthand? I mean, what was the first thing that went through your mind?
Pray. Just pray and do what we can. I mean, again, I don't know if you call it fortunate or unfortunate, but I went through Hurricane Harvey last year as well. And to drive around and see the flooding, to see, you know, people walking with their kids, and boats coming by picking people up and just trying to get them to shelter. That was a humbling experience, but that was just seeing the people, you know. And you saw some houses with the sheetrock pulled out because of the flooding, but to drive and see a place that was wooded for years growing up there, because I grew up there, that there are no trees there anymore. I mean, it just shows how devastating this storm really was. And I mean, we've had hurricanes here before, but nothing like this. And so the first thought was just, my God, you know, and what can we do to help? Because there's so many people that, again, lives have been impacted probably forever. People in Panama City, my wife's granddad lives in Panama City. Her dad lives in Bluntstown. And those are two places that don't look the same. And, you know, so again, there are so many thoughts and emotions that go through your mind when you go through and see it. And even with Vaughn, you know, he went to Mariana, it's just, Coach, you cannot believe what we're looking at. And so again, I think by this point, everyone understands the severity of it. But if they haven't, I would encourage anyone, just get in your car and drive west. And you will get a profound appreciation for life that we have and some of the luxuries that we're able to be afforded. You know, we talked about it yesterday in our athletic department meeting. Dr. Easton said he was complaining about not having lights for a day or so. And it really it puts it in perspective. Like, I'm complaining about not having lights. Zach's grandmother doesn't have a house to go home to. People were running to us yesterday because they could not eat a warm meal for a week. You know, things that we just take for granted. And so again, there's just so many things that we wish we could do. And we're just gonna try to do what we can to show people out there that FAMU does care. And you know, we're not just a school in this community, we're a pillar of this community. And we wanna make sure we give back to the people that call us home and even that may not be able to come to our campus. We want them to know that we do care about them.
Ryan, how was that for you, going out there and seeing all that?
You know, I'm from South Florida, so hurricanes aren't really, you know, some I see a lot, but it's just much different up here in North Florida with all the big trees and, you know, even where I stayed, nothing too crazy happened, but we didn't have power. And, you know, just going around and seeing what people are without it, and like Coach said, things we take for granted. You know, I just noticed something. He said I was mad not about not having power, but then I put in perspective about Zach's grandma. You know, it's like a lesson almost, showing what other people don't have and things that I sometimes take for granted. I just gotta learn to be more appreciative and grateful.
Ryan, speaking of the game Saturday, there were times when you and Coach were, Coach kept consulting with you. Were you staying in? Were you going out? Were you in and out?
Yeah.
Just talk about what went through, what the process of you and Coach deciding that you were going to stay in the game.
Well, it started with Kyle. Like, they wrapped my back pretty tight pregame because I knew it was going to be hurting all game, any hit I'd take or anything. But that last, right before that last drive, I had Kyle rewrap it, and when they took the wrap off, I had a big knot in my lower back, and it didn't look too good, so they called the team doctor over to look at it. They were asking just basic questions about my health and whatnot, making sure everything's okay, and there wasn't anything major. And Kyle brought up the option of pulling me, and I looked at the clock and seen what was left, and the defense, I think it was third down when they said that. And I was like, nah, you gotta wrap me back up, man. And then we went over to the huddle. And that's when Coach asked me, am I gonna go that day? He trusts the backup to go in, but I just made a decision on myself that I couldn't do that to my brothers. At last job, I knew that they needed me, so I just put everything to the side, and I knew I feel much better with a victory than with a loss and having my back feeling like that. But I'll be good.
Ryan, is this the most fun you've had since you got in FAMU?
Oh yeah, man. Winning's fun for sure. You never have fun when you're losing. So being on the top of the conference right now in first place, and then sitting at 4-0 right now, going to the bye week is definitely a lot of fun. And like I said, you always have fun when you're winning.
This is a question for both of you. We are in one of the black college polls. We're actually number 1 now, and in the FCS poll, we actually got 114 votes, which makes us basically like the number 30 team in the country. So, considering where we were at the beginning of the year, and Ryan, from your perspective, the last couple of years, to actually be in a position now where people are recognizing FAMU as being a quality program again, what does that mean to both of you?
Man, it feels good, being here the last 3 years and, in the seasons that we had, it feels good that people are actually seeing the work that's being put in. It's actually accounting for something, and if just knowing all those people vote, even though it's still 30th place, I'm not happy with that. We would like to be number 1, but that's huge that people actually see the difference, and what we got going on here at FAMU.
Well, for me, it's what I expect. I grew up here, and when I grew up, FAMU was always ranked in the top 25. We were always one of the top teams, not the top team in the HBCU poll. So it's why I came back to FAMU. I came here to hopefully propel this program back to the level that I know that we all envision it being. So, like Ryan said, it's still a lot of work to be done. Sitting at number 1, 7 games in is really nice, but November 17th first, and then December 15th is when we want to be sitting there at number 1. So we know we have a lot of work to do. We're like we told the guys, we extended our 24-hour celebration period a little bit because of the bye week, but today is back to work, and we understand that for us to continue the path that we're on, we have to work. We have to not look at the press clippings. We have to not read the newspapers, not watch the news. Sorry guys, but not watch the news, and just keep our head down and grind it out like we have since we got here in December. Because again, what we're seeing is a result of these guys and their work ethic, nothing else. It's not luck, it's not chance, it's them deciding that they're going to work harder than their competition. And we have to continue to do that, continue to believe in one another, practice our 7Fs, and just stay true to who we are. And if we do that, we think the success will continue, and we'll reap the benefits and reap what we sow when the time comes. But until then, there's still too much work to be done.
Ryan, how good is it? How good of a luxury is it to have a defense that good? Before the last series, they said before they went out there, we're about to get you the ball back. We're about to get us the ball back. And they said it and went and did it. So how good is it to have a defense that's that confident and is able to execute?
That's huge, man. And one of the things last Sunday the coaches said to us was A&T outscores their opponents by, I forgot the number, but by a lot in the second half. Preaching that they were a second half team. And the fact that the defense went out there and pitched a shutout that second half is just huge, man. And it's not even just this game the defense came through. It's just week in, week out, that defense just makes huge stops for the offense and picks us up when we're down. And then they feed off our energy when we get things clicking. But that's the best defense in the conference. I go against them every day in practice. So iron sharpens iron, and they do a great job, man. And just a huge shout out to the defense. They're really holding it down on that side of the ball.
Ryan, Coach had mentioned Jackson State kind of being the turning point in this season. You could have gone one of two ways. Like last year, you could have kept losing or turned it around. What was take us back to that game. What was sad, and what was the difference between last year and this year in turning things around?
Yeah, I remember after the game in the press conference, I got a question like that, and I said I just had to keep the spirits high, keep my head up, and let the guys know that this isn't the end. Those were kind of, I want to say, quote unquote, preseason games right before the conference play. We had those 3 games that were not, I wouldn't say didn't mean anything, but we still had all our goals achievable, which would be conference champs. And just because we lost that tough loss there at the end, a lot of people probably fell off bandwagon or whatever, but I just made sure our guys still believed in what we could achieve and just kept our faith high and, just go get it.
What was different between last year and this year? I mean, what made you believe more and have turned things around since? And I mean, you're where you are now. I mean, what
I would
was
say
different?
last year, not everyone was bought in and believed, and now this year it's just like we've got everyone bought in. And that's tough to do, but the coaches have done a great job with that since day one. Like he said, when they first came in, it wasn't, oh, we're trying to win the MEAC championship in the next few years. It was right now, let's go get it. From day one, that's just what we've been working for. And we've got pretty much everyone bought in. And when everyone's on the same page, it's not hard to overturn from a loss and go to the next week and, start that conference play 1-0, and we just kept it going from there.
Coach, in regards to the defense, uh, 30% the opposing offense on third down conversions. How big is that stat in your success this year, getting the opposing team off the field?
It's huge. You look at last week's game, we ran almost 60 plays in the second half. And when you talk about conditioning level, you talk about weighing a team down, that's all a part of it. And so for our defense, their goal is to get the other team off the field, get our offense on the field, give us a chance to score points. And situational football is something they practice all the time. You go out there today, they'll be working on third downs, they'll be working on goal line, red zone, because football's a situational game. Obviously, the 2-minute situation that we had to come back and win the game in on Saturday is something that we practice every single day. So in order for us to get in that 2-minute situation, the defense had to stand up on third down. And all season, they've done a phenomenal job of that, getting the other team off the field on third down. Coach Billy Rowe has a saying for those guys. And I don't even know the saying. It's their own little secret thing. And one of it has to do with third downs, of getting the other team off the field. And those guys really believe that. I mean, they're playing with an attitude. They're playing with they're playing like the defensive coordinator. And if anybody knows Ralph Street, they know what that means. And he's just a fiery, passionate guy, blue-collar guy. And that's the way this team is playing. They're not looking for the credit. Antonio Miller's not running around saying I should be conference player of the week. Elijah Richardson is not running around, getting upset because Derek Mayweather's making the plays. Those guys are they're a no-name bunch that they don't care who gets the glory. They don't care who gets the attention. You will not get an interview from Ralph Street. He doesn't want to do an interview. And that's just the way that they are. And it really makes us as an offense feel that more confident to know that we don't have to play perfectly, because we have a defense that can get people off the field. And 4 conference games, 72-13, that's the second half scores of our football games. They've held 4 teams to 13 points in the second half. And that's unbelievable. That's 4 points per second half. So, 3 and some change. So it's just the job that they've done this year is unbelievable. But if you see the way they practice and the way they work, and even the more than them, get this part, the scout team, those are the unsung heroes. Because every day, those guys who never travel, who rarely dress, who never get their names called, they go down there every day and they simulate the team that we're going against. And Isaac Sullivan, our quarterback, Kendrick Kelly, scout team wide receiver, Eddie Tillman, Bo Kendrick, Jalen Brayboy, all of those guys that go down every single day and give the defense a great look. That's the reason our defense is playing at such a high level right now. And I think everyone takes pride in that. And when we pitched the shutout, like I told the team, the scout team felt just as good about it as the defensive guys who actually pitched the shutout, because they know they contributed to that by how they prepare. And I think that's what's made this team different, is that everyone knows and understands their role, and they don't complain about it, they just go to work. And as long as we keep that attitude, this program has a very, very bright future.
Coach, it's very possible that you guys can win out this season and possibly win a MEAC championship. Just what type of accomplishment, or how big is that accomplishment within your first year, and Ryan Stanley as well for you too as well?
Again, for us, our focus is win this week. And even though we don't have a game, let's make the most of this week, because we've seen throughout college football that teams come off bye weeks after huge wins and have letdowns. And so we don't want that to be our story. We're enjoying this ride that we're on, obviously, but we're enjoying the ride that we're on right now. You know, we're not thinking about where this ride may take us. We're just enjoying the excitement that's around FAMU football right now. But we also understand what needs to be done to continue that, and that's our focus. So I know it sounds cliche, it's to say one game at a time, but the worst thing we can do right now is take the blinders off and start to look around and see all the excitement, all the hoopla, everything that's going around, and it takes away from that tunnel vision that we've had since we got here. We've been tunnel vision at winning today. Do the little things right that it takes to be successful today, and that's all we're gonna focus on. And when we do that, if we stay to that, I think the success will come. If we take those blinders off and we start to hear all the chatter, then we may lose focus on what's important and maybe not be in such a great position later on. So ask me that question in about 4 weeks, and I hope I have a really good answer for you.
This is the 4th week in a row that Chad Hunter has led the team in receiving. Is that part of the game plan, or is that just happening as the game goes along?
It's my fault that it ain't been 7 weeks in a row. He's obviously, one of, if not the best receiver in this conference. He's been doing it since we got here, and we need to get Chad the ball. And so Ryan understands that. Sometimes I have to get on him about not throwing Chad the ball. Sometimes we maybe not supposed to, but he's just a football player. He's balanced some health issues as well. He's pushing through pain just like Ryan is. But he just has that attitude that he's gonna go out there and dominate. And 4 games in a row with touchdown receptions. It's no secret, by the way he works. And so he's definitely a huge part of our game plan. But not only he, but Xavier Smith, Marcus Williams, Zende Ray, who had a great game last week. The running back core that we have. And like I told Ryan, he has a lot of weapons at his disposal that he doesn't have to try to win the game himself. And I think he feels really confident with Chad that he's gonna make a big play for us when we need it. And as we saw the other day, when we need those big plays, 584. And he tends to make more than he misses. So just happy for those guys by how they work, but I don't think it's a coincidence that they're having the success that they have because of their attitudes and the way they approach practice every single day.
All right, we've got time for one more question.
Thais, yeah.
All right, thanks, Coach. Thanks, Ryan.
Appreciate it.